What I love most about animation is it's a team sport, much like architecture, where everything did in the name of animation is pure imagination. Yes, the title reads Digital Media Park. It's an A.V.G.C center. A.V.G.C namely stands for Animation, VFX, Gaming, and Comics. Here's a list of contents we'll be going through phase by phase. To start off with, what is an A.V.G.C sector? Like the name suggests, it's got to do with everything and anything to do with animation, gaming, VFX, and comics, such as conceptualizing, production, post-production, media management, etc. The recent uproar of animation and VFX used in many media productions, such as movies and shows, has led to increase in demand of larger creative output and overall workforce. ABAI, an organization which governs the AVGC sector, has collaborated with the Karnataka government to bring out policies for the growth and development of the sector. Here are a few visions and goals produced by the policy with supporting statistics. Reason of the study is quite simple, as this addresses to a budding sector with a huge potential. It requires to train the talent, facilitate them with well-designed spaces accommodating their needs, as well as promote the talent in the industry. To the bottom, we can see the bubble diagram with the initial thought of spaces which can complete the project overall. This thesis intends to a unique innovation center, almost like a one-step destination for various users. As we get back to the policy, three things strike out. Center of Excellence, where the production and post-production studios are present. Finishing school, more like crash course, conducted for 3 to 6 months for creative professionals. And lastly, the incubators. Incubators a place which supports and nurtures new startups and young companies for their development. Apart from the three mentioned other parameters such as galleries and preview theaters, restaurants, etc., are added to encourage promotion of talent as well as bring about the public interaction. Moving forward with the case studies, we start off with Abide, the organization we mentioned earlier. It houses the Center of Excellence in Bangalore. The facility consists of finishing school, Center of Excellence, and incubators. The plan on the right-hand side highlights the zoning of these spaces. Even though Center of Excellence houses high-end infrastructure in large studios, it has very limited seats in the incubators, which was a major drawback. On the left-hand side, we have list of spaces within the Center of Excellence mentioned along with the images. The study helped me to understand various processes and spaces required for the production and post-production activities to form animation. Moving on to the next case study, we have Design Orchid Incubators, located on Singapore's most iconic shopping avenue. This case study highlights mixed usage of spaces seamlessly blending in to form harmony between private and public sectors. The floors have been modulated in such a way to create an overlaid green terrace on top, which acts as an active hub for public gatherings for certain events. Image Hyderabad is an iconic tower which was initiated by the government to promote the AVGC sector in Telangana, much like how Karnataka is. The project scale is huge as it caters to larger number of workforce and training. The spaces and activity proposed are much similar to the ones mentioned earlier, which are listed down with the accurate area programming. Next study is Bharat Bhavan by Charles Correa, located in Bhopal. This study is a great example of responding to the site as well as contextual design. The courtyards heighten the public interaction and binds the built mass into the experiential walk for the visitors. Media City, UK. It is the world's most renowned media park located in Manchester. The scale is massive with a range of mixed-use spaces. The master planning connects all the various spaces around the site and diverts them to the central plaza. which placed aesthetically along the water body. Every building is designed so as to get the frontage facing the water. The spaces facing the water body is zoned with public spaces such as cafes and restaurants. This study helps to understand the zoning of various spaces within one large site. Moving on to the next study, it is one of the kind traveling exhibitions. Visual arts centers which initially started off in Delhi. The exhibition itself can be constructed and dismantled with a short period of time. It is a complete framed body modular symmetrically spiraling out from the central core. The planning is modular as well, with the repeated rectangles which holds various styles of display systems. Finishing up with the case studies, the project is initiated with user activity and analysis space. Here we have user space matrix and functional space relationship matrix, both of which are represented graphically in this table. This shows how the relationship is between the user and the space, as well as the functional proximity between one space with another. The output of these two graphical tables is represented through the bubble diagram. The suitable location for the project is any IT park in various SEZs in Bangalore. Bangalore because it's the growing hub for animation. The Devnali IT Park has more perks compared to the rest when we consider the factor of nationwide and global accessibility. The first color-coded map here highlights forests, plantation and watershed areas which falls within the boundaries of Bangalore International Airport Planning Authority. The second map here shows the existing and allocated land use plan for further development. The purple is the entire SEZ which accommodates three parks, namely Hardware Park, IT Park and Aerospace Park. This here is the zoomed in plan of the entire of SEZ with allocated land use. The park itself is set for development with its already set up infrastructure such as public utilities listed here. Includes bus stops, entrances, fuel station, hotels, restaurants, water storm drainage, etc. The site itself is located at the edge of the IT park surrounded by Are Banni Mangala Lake. The site is overall 12.4 acres. It consists of two parts, namely A and B. Site A follows the development of an IT project with its given ground coverage and FAR bylaws. Site B follows the development of a public park sector. The second part of site analysis shows the climatic aspects such as the range of temperature, rainfall, humidity, and wind velocity. This plan here shows the slope analysis and site dimensions. The steepest slope are being denoted by the brown color. Since the park is still under development, there aren't many built structures around the site, except one restaurant which faces the front. This map shows various aspects such as vegetation, views around and inside the site, the accessibility, sun path, and wind direction. This sheet follows the analysis of site study. The first plan shows the hierarchy of spaces based on privacy levels. The site has one road accessing the north side and a pedestrian pathway accessing from the neighboring park from the east side. The zoning is unconventional, but is done in such a way due to the allocated land use of public park on the southern edge of the site facing the water body. More detailed zoning of the spaces is observed in this plan. The interesting aspect of it arises after a section is cut through the site where we get this conceptual sketch. Moving on to the right hand side, we have concept derivation. The concept started off with trying to capture the essence of animation through descriptive words, which led to the formation of this word cloud. The words further streamlined to three principles. The three principles guided different aspects of design such as site planning, building form, landscape, etc. Principle 1. Juxtaposition. This principle is used to modulate the building form in the design process. Principle 2. Modularity. This principle takes part in area programming as well as massing and landscape when it comes to build structure. Principle 3. Personification. The principle takes the inspiration of nearby water body and brings out a different experiential flow through the design and the site. Moving forward from the initial zoning, this plan here shows the detailed and scaled arrangement of various blocks on the site. The spaces were placed in such a manner so as to form a connective spine in the center which creates the experiential flow through the site. This plan is further refined with the planning principle of modularity taken with respect to the golden ratio. After the final allocation of spaces, the section here is taken through the massing to conform with the initial conceptual sketch. Finally, coming to this image, this is the final massing of the build structure with the detailed central plaza which culminates to the open air theatre facing the southern water body. To approach the final design, first we have the site plan. As you can observe, most of the build form is concentrated in the IT sector of the park rather than the public park sector. Private blocks such as administration, owner's office, as well as incubators are facing the northern edge. Two, two entrances are provided access to the core of the design, that is the plaza. First route takes the user through the administration in case of visitors or directly to the office adjacent to it. Second route is accessed by the parking, which leads directly to the lobby space for the auditoriums, which is convenient to users such as visitors and guests who have come specifically to view the screenings and presentation. Both routes culminate to the central plaza. The central plaza is again split with various levels to provide different feel and aesthetics on their own. The plaza also provides platform for display and exhibitions both above and below the ground. As the users flow through the plaza, to end of it is met with an interactive rich platform, which is encompassed with spaces such as retail, restaurant, and comic cafe and an underground library. The underground library is accessed through underground courtyards with cutout roofs with ramps on both the sides. The passage connecting it all culminates the open air theatre on the southern edge of the facing the water body, where occasional public gatherings can be held. Starting off with plans, here we have the ground floor plan of administration, owner's office, finishing school, as well as its respective accommodation. Administration block is like the first destination for mostly students and visitors who have come to tour the facility. Administration is closely connected to the owner's office, which is the main guiding and operating sector as it overlooks all the other functions on site, such as renting the studios, providing incubators, setting up curriculum to the finishing school, etc. The main office has several meeting rooms and conference rooms to hold meetings with guests and officials and has the glass enclosed open floor plan office with double height space facing the green plaza. The institute has direct accessibility via the plaza. The plaza, which is also an active student hub for interaction. The institute houses classrooms, lecture halls, and seminar halls. and a large lobby space which doubles as a discussion cum gathering area. The accommodation has two typologies, namely the studio flats and the double sharing rooms. Studio flats are provided for VIPs or guests who have come in to conduct seminars or lectures. Students are not just graduates from animation schools, but even professionals who have enrolled to the incubators in the same facility. The plan here is the first floor plan of the previously mentioned blocks. The central plaza here has been given a step profile to match the contour slope of the site. The steps have been given alternative floor textures of gravel and grass for a more aesthetic and earthy feel. As we can observe in the plan, there are various open green spaces embarked to provoke the feeling of openness and create visual relaxation to the users. The entrance of the administration and the connectivity between the administration and the owner's office has been emphasized by wooden pergolas. The owner's office on the first floor has some more conference and meeting rooms. Along with that, we have staff lounge and dining area, which overlooks the open office plan in the ground floor which faces the green plaza. The courtyards before the studio flats are provided for dining and gathering purposes. The shared accommodation block has jali wall on the eastern facade, while on the western facade we have vertical green garden which extends up to 5 floors. Here we have the ground floor plans of the production studios as well as the incubator tower. As I mentioned earlier, you can observe two different access to the same block specifically. The guests or visitors who just want to view the screening or presentation can directly access through this entrance. The entrance facing the plaza of both the blocks is being emphasized with organic curved facade cum roof which adds visual interest and integrates the openness of the plaza into the interiors. Majority of public spaces are kept close in proximity with the plaza, such as the seminar hall, conference rooms, lobbies, privy theatre, and auditoriums. The rentable studios such as Green Match Studios, motion capture rooms, AR/VR rooms, DI suites, and editing rooms are placed towards the exterior, which distinguishes the public-private sectors in the same complex. The incubator space is planned to have further smaller modules or spaces which can either be integrated or be separated. The fire escape staircase are provided on either ends of the central corridor. The incubator has the northern facade, which has the rustic exposed brick facade with punctured openings. Between the incubator modules, we have three conference rooms, which faces the northern edge. The facade of the conference room is glass. The glass has cascaded green landscape to the facade. These conference rooms are used mostly by the staffs to hold client meetings and such. This plan here is the first floor plan of the previously discussed blocks. The larger of the two auditoriums are placed on the first floor. Majority of the studios are replicated on the first floor similar to that of the ground floor. Instead of 4 modules of incubators, there is a fifth added module on the second. In the next consecutive 7 floors, there will be a modulating 6 total incubators which provide a stepped green terrace on the southern edge. The conference rooms on the northern facade modulate with the floors as well to create a sense of motion and visual interest to the front facade. The cutout space in the center of the incubator tower has a massive quadruple story height to provide emphasis to the lobby cum reception on the ground floor. This sheet is composed of two plans of all the spaces involved in the public sector of this project, namely cafe, underground library, restaurant, and retail shops. On the left-hand side, we have a floor plan which is cut at above 1 meter from the ground. The library is half underground and half jutting out of above the ground, creating a platform for public seating as well as a viewpoint facing the water body. On the right hand side, you can observe that the plan is cut at underneath the ground. There is a separate access through the underground gallery space to the library. The library also has access from above the ground where it takes a circular ramp down the circular courtyard. We have a small but cozy cafe here. It has a close proximity to the underground library as well as the modular retail shops which sell merchandise as well as digital audio-visual equipments required by the students. The comic cafe itself has an informal seating, which seats over 60 readers. The cafe counter provides light beverages to further enhance the experience of the cafe and the users. The northern and the southern facade of the cafe is punctured with large openings. The southern facade has vertical louvers which breaks the harsh daylight entering the space. The mezzanine floor adds a coziness factor to the cafe altogether. The mezzanine floor is accessed through a circular spiral staircase. The spiral staircase also has integrated bookshelves underneath it. The restaurant block consists of two separate kitchens. It has a separate entrance from the back which acts as a service entrance. The seatings of the restaurant are given underneath the tensile structures. The restaurant is placed with close proximity to the accommodation so as to double as a canteen and cater to the guests and students of the facility. Section AA is cut through the production studios as well as the owner's office. The section highlights the overly large distinguishable volumes of studios compared to the normal story height of building of office. You can also view the organic glass and steel enclosure of various blocks entrances connecting the plaza. The plaza has relatively low elevation compared to the built structure around it and acts as a converging point for human interaction. In the backdrop, we can observe the facade of the incubation tower, which has modulated green terraces as well as a strip of wooden louvered panels to separate the monotonous texture. In section BB, we have a section cutting through the owner's office as well as the finishing school. The buildings are cascaded over the contour slope, matching with the level difference simultaneously. You can observe the curved glass facade of the finishing school facing the green courtyard in the front, which translates to having replicated the exterior to the interiors as well. In the backdrop, we can observe that the single-story studio flats. We can also notice in the backdrop the facade of the accommodation tower, which is the second highest building on the site, which is about 5 stories high. Elevation highlights the western facade of the accommodation, which has the green vertical garden carefully placed between the exposed brick panels on either side. Section CC cuts through the incubator, the auditorium, as well as the comic cafe. The incubator tower, being the tallest building on site with 9 floors and modulating offices and conference rooms on the southern facade to create a green stepped terrace. The hovering bridge on the first floor connects the incubator tower to the studio spaces. The design of the auditorium is done in such a way that it adheres to the contour slope of the site. The section also shows the mezzanine floors of the comic cafe, which also highlights the large foldable doors of the entrance. At the end of the section, you can observe the circular cutouts of the courtyards, which can be related to other built structure of the site in the section. Lastly, in section DD, we have a closer look at the underground library with circular cutout roofs and winding down ramps. The rustic brick wall as well as the exposed concrete facade of the comic cafe as well as the retail shops can be observed in the section. The circular open courtyard acts as a break in monotony to the continuous dark passage of underground exhibition space as well as the library. Here are some views of 3D perspective sketches which highlights the main focuses of the project. As I mentioned, the facade encompasses the rustic style of the exposed brick wall with a modern juxtapose of the steel and glass modular facade of the incubator. The separate access to the auditorium and privy theatre from the parking is provided for the visitors as well as guests. Here's why the Central Plaza is the main focus of the project. It acts as a central activity hub on the site where there are collective gathering of various types of users accessing the media park. The retail plaza at the center has two zones which have varied characteristics of its own, one being the rich, lush green landscaped area, another being the retail hotspot. The other main focus of the project is the edge of the IT sector of the park, where all the public sector of the park are integrated and are shown in the sketches. As this is a space for A.V.G.C, there is no restriction on any types of user groups. The project was done to integrate and bring various creative professions together, as well as grab the attention of the public eye and provoke interest in the budding sector. They can either be a fascinated user or take part as a creative professional. Hereby, I would like to conclude that the project has achieved the purpose of interconnecting the activities and functions prevailing in the center of digital media. Side by side, it also offered a unique sensory experience and aided the process of animation and making it easier. Thank you.